Hello everyone. In today's video I will continue in the Dynamo course for beginners, and this is lecture 6, and specifically we are talking about the fourth topic. And in today's topic I will show you how you start your first visual programming, and how we can create a very basic shape, just to let you start and stop out of the just cutting out the theoretical frame that we started already, and doing very simple exercise here. And it's also I want to have that fight, or talk about that fight that happened inside your brain while you are here in the beginning of your steps learning Dynamo, and your brain fight you back and just tells you, the inner voice, that you don't need to continue learning. And it's a basic process that you find your brain resist the learning process and always compare it to a previous tools that you already learned before. And while you are here in Dynamo, that means you're already comparing it to the modeling tool you have in Revit. So let's just start and see how things actually can or how we can actually begin working with Dynamo as a very basic steps. And again, we need to look at how we create nodes. And in the previous video I explained the interface, and I also talk about placing nodes. But anyway, one of the easiest ways is just right click here in the workspace and write the name of the point, or the node, the node that you want. And in this specific topic I will just create a point. So when I just write here in the pop-up list point, I can see all types of points available, or things related to creating, or even the attribute of points. And by hovering above each one of them, you can understand that it's have an input of an X and Y and Z, for example, and give you the output. As you see in the bottom side of this pop-up window, it will give you the geometry of points, and also some description here in the top left saying it's creating a point out of a given three Cartesian coordinate, and so on. Each one of them, a cylindrical system, a spherical system, and it gives you a good indication of what you need and what you got in each one of them. Anyway, I'll go ahead and click this one, and as soon as you click, Dynamo plays this rectangle, and this rectangle, what we call it here, node, and in it you get an output or a port here, output port, which is the result, and the inputs thing you need to put X and Y and Z, and what type of input, it's just double. And I will try to explain in detail in the next lecture what they goes. But in today's lecture, I'm just gonna show you how you connect those nodes together and create the basic shapes. And again, compare it to what we have there in Revit as a tool, and why should we learn Dynamo again, and what the benefits of it in a very basic example. You can see again when you hover above the double that there is a default value which is giving for you 0. So it's nice to have it, because when you have it, it's can execute or automatically create the result better than force you to give the value of X and Y and Z as 0, 0, and without it you will never see the node here down created. And of course, if you hover above the top part, you're gonna see that again the description, again a Python or more like a textual way of writing it, say that it's point by coordinate, and the values needed, and the result again here. The lower part here show you the type of lacing, and I'll try to explain that more in detail as we goes. Anyway, what I wanted to say is just that's how you can create a point. And by the first way, as we said, by right clicking, you can of course go to the to the side here, the library, and you go to geometry, and then points, and then points, and you can pick that's the second method. Or you can even search here. So I'll search here for a slider, and so far you can get this the miracle slider, which is here. I don't know what delayed. Anyway, and you can create by click here, and you can get the slider here immediately ready for you. You can of course move that slider, and you can see it give us numbers here, and with they are doubles actually, because you can see there's a decimal and there's a points here. And if you open that, indeed you can just say the minimum value for it. So the minimum, if it goes to 0, and the maximum it goes for 100. We don't know, if you don't want that and I don't want that, I'll make maybe maximum 20. So you see the maximum goes 20 and the minimum goes to 0. Again, 0.1 here, the steps, so each time you push it give you steps of 0.1. I think it's easy. Double click here and change the name. I'll make it the X here, and just you see that's the output of it. And if I click here, you see this connection or wire, and it goes in here and it's immediately snapped to it, and when you click it's just going to connect it, and by that now I can control the value of X provided to this point. Again guys, just to remind you, this is Dynamo 2, and because I explained this previously for Dynamo 1, and now I'm repeating the entire thing for most updated Dynamo platform. If I move this, I can notice that the point down is actually moving. Again, by that level, again your brain will compare to what you have here in the background, and that's very normal. It's gonna make fun of what you're doing, and again you're gonna conflict with yourself and say, okay, I can do that, a detail line, I can create points here, I have lots of drawing tools. Again, that's the question. Keep your brain popping and asking why, and compare what you do here in Dynamo to the old tools. Maybe you compare it with Revit, maybe you compare it with AutoCAD, maybe you compare it with Max. That's a very natural process. Keep resisting this inner voices, and I'm going to show you in quick steps why it's different and why Dynamo important. Anyway, I'll need now an X and I need a Y. I will ignore Z, so I finish X. Let's do the Y. I select this one, and you see when you select the node, it gets like a bluish frame and the blue connecting. That's help you a lot to know that this is selected, and you also know it's already connected and where these wire cables are actually going. I'm gonna hit Control continuously on my keyboard, and then with the left mouse I'm gonna move it, and it's gonna create for me a copy. And again, double clicking it, I'll make it 7 or 6 or 3 or sorry, that's the name. I'll make it Y. I thought I'm talking about the value, so that's the X, that's the Y. Again, one click here, and again it's gonna connect the value. So the wires is actually taking the orders always from the left to the right, and that's how the data flow. So again, just back to the PowerPoint, because I say that I'm going to talking about the very visual programming, and then the fight in the brain and creating a node, connecting them, and that topic specifically is really important, because the way the data flow is from the left to the right all the time in Dynamo. Now I'm not going to create the Z. I don't need it. But again, test always when you create, test what you do and see if it's responded properly. Now you see that's the X and that's the Y, and it's moving nicely. And again, it's just one point, one geometry. Everything is so cute and so easy. And before you see the ugly face of Dynamo, maybe in a more advanced, complicated node, you have to go to switch to manual. So whenever you change, nothing gonna change in here, and you need to hit run in order to see what you've done. So for today, maybe keeping it automatic is okay, but consider that when you go to the execution bar here, change it to manual, especially if you create a complex geometry from Dynamo to Revit, you must make it manual, otherwise it's gonna change your life into a very bad nightmare, because it's gonna have lots of crashes and errors. Anywho, now those together, I can just select them like that and hit Control and G in my keyboard, and I can create just point maker. So now I don't need to I don't need to do them again. I just combine them as one unit, and simply I can hit Control again and just move my hand once and twice, and by that I'm making copies of them. It's a good way to organize, and you have those green thing, very important to organize the way it's easy for you if you later on want to continue on seeing how these things created, and you don't need to know what is this making and what's this about. It's just points. Not enough name, so I'm not really happy with the name. You should name it properly, more detailed, like creating a point. It's better than just keeping it like that. It's a little bit incomplete. Anyway, so again, still your brain fighting, it's still saying it's the same, you can copy it, and that's normal. I'll change you know, the X to 5 maybe, and Y to 5. Maybe I'll make X 10, and you can see down there it's immediately updated, and there is a, you know, like a ghost image here created. They are not real Revit points yet. Anyway, I'm making this 20, and immediately I have those 3 points, and immediately you can see here. So now you say you're gonna create a line, and I'm completely going with that, or going to create an arc. So maybe right click and I say arc, ARC, and the first one to be suggested by Dynamo is by 3 points. So let's go with it, and again that's start point, second point, third point, so it needs points, as you can see, and it's going to create for you an arc. And you can see even the shape of the node is a pale gray because it's still inactive, while this one is an active and happy one, and that's how it looks like. So I'll explain this more in detail in the next lecture. I don't want to bore you to death with the details, so let's connect those guys together. And again, the evil sound in your brain getting back and say, just why do I have to learn all these things to make an arc? I can go, now the battle start in your brain, and you say, no, it's just an arc, and that's a start, and that's the curve. I'm gonna get out and close this video and stay my rest of my life a happy guy. I understand that, because your brain is still, you know, comparing the whole thing together, and you can done easily with normal tools. Anyway, let's go further. That's voices and that's pain in the head. It's very normal. Now, what we can do? Let's go and make circle. I'm gonna choose it from here this time. So get you to the habit of having both. You know, something crazy here. I don't know why it's not showing the circle at the beginning, and take a couple of seconds with the delay. And now we can read by, center, and then point, center point, and then radius, and that's good to give me, because everything with by is constructor or construction methods, which is good because they're gonna create something for me. So now let's see. Now what this guy wants? This guy will do a center point and a radius. I'll change that back to automatic, and as soon as I do, again the ghost image get back again, or the ghost geometry get back again, and the circle immediately being created here in Dynamo and reflect back to Revit. Now why it's been created and I didn't give any input? Again, because of the default. It's assumed the default is 0, 0, 0 as a point, and the second input is radius, and you see those 2 dots and 1, that's a default, and the result of course is circle. So far so good. Now how about if I want to make this circle goes all the way on that curve? Now if you want to do that in Revit, your brain goes a little bit slow, and you don't know what tool you need, because if you navigate here and if you select that guy and you go to modify and you have array, I don't know why Autodesk is still yet not you know, make the array by line or array by path. By the way, there is a video I already made with a lots of detail about that. You can go back to my previous Dynamo list and have a look at it. But you have either linear and you have either radial, and there is none related to a pick path one. So maybe you can find it in AutoCAD. Anywho, so how we do that? Let's try to get more benefit out of Dynamo. So I'm going to go curve dot let's say point at parameter. So what it need a curve, which is an arc, and even line is considered as curve here in Dynamo, and it's going to create for me a point at a specific parameter. So let me connect the curve, and the parameter will go from 0, which is the beginning of the curve, dot to 1. So I'm making a range of number, and here 0 is the beginning of the curve, which is this point. 1 is the end of the curve, which is here. And let me say each 0.1, so each 10% of it I want a point. So go ahead, connect, and you can see that I think it's created 11 element. Careful here with the way Dynamo thinks. It's 0 is an actual value, so it's 0 and then it goes to continue, so eventually it's going to create 11 points for you. Now again the inner voice will, the fight in your brain goes less and less, because if I can do that in Dynamo without the in Revit without the pane, I cannot divide that easily. Maybe you can do that in AutoCAD, yes, and but not that easy to be done inside Revit. Now you spend a couple of clicks and it gets you the result. Again, if you hover about the output, you can pin that and you see the points being generated if you want. If you don't want, just remove your hand and you don't see this big list. I will easily connect because I have points here, right? How many points I have? Also 11, which are those points. I'll just connect those points and tell the circle to be generated at each one of them. Now again, the inner voices in your brain go less and less because that will take way much more long time to be done in Revit. And I can even control with a slider, okay, I can control the radius for all those circles. I don't want that to be so big, so yep. Here you can see now I can control that really easily and really quickly in a point. And not only that, but I can get back to the first point itself, and I'll switch to the 3D background mode, and I can move, the point itself manually. If you don't like, if you wanna just change it, like this, you can, of course, or you go here into what we call it. I always forgot the direct manipulation. So that's directly you can change, and I can just go ahead in the Z and move it, and I can get myself in, like a 3D arc, and you can see that's been generated with the seconds. Now I want to listen to your brain telling you can do that in Revit in a couple of seconds. In those, I don't know the length of this video, 10 minutes, I don't know, and you won't be able to do that easily. And note that how beauty Dynamo is already, because you don't have Z, because I just changed the Z, doesn't have Z, so it create for you a Z parameter. I'll keep that to 0, hit enter, and delete it, getting back to my topic. Anyway, so I can control the whole thing. Okay, did I push it back to 0, or I just, no, make it 0. Okay, so again, now can I push that a bit further? Yes, you can, and I will take this guy here, and I will assume that these are the radiuses. So that's the beginning with this guy, 0, no radius, and the last one will be a radius of 1, and it's going to keep jumping, make it each 0.1, so 0.1, 0.2, and I'm talking about radiuses this time. And let's do that, and you can see there's a yellow thing, that's just something went wrong, and it's just okay because the first one Dynamo wanted to tell you that the circle is radius and it couldn't generate, and that's kind of an error, but I'll ignore it. And have a look now. Now, how about you doing this in Revit? So now the fight less in your brain, and because you can do that in a couple of seconds inside Revit. And I know some of people will argue and say, no, I will wait until Autodesk develop for me the tool that I will use to work in Revit. I can't tell you how much wrong you are, because again, there is another platform. It's just you can make anything you want in a couple of seconds, and you need to adjust your brain ability to understand a parametric and a generative way of design instead of the easy way, a very easy way, depending on whatever others actually design for you as a tools. And by knowing Dynamo now, you can do everything you want now, and that push you ahead lots of people, because they reject to learn it and give you a high skill and a better position to compete in the industry. So I think now we know what we want, and we know what we got, and with this very few seconds or minutes, we managed to create a geometry which is really hard, a very basic shape, I know, but imagine applying this into a 3D modeling techniques, not in a very basic shape, how it's going to affect your design. Anyhow, so I'll leave you now, and that's a very easy way. I think that's the nodes if you want to have a look at them. and you can start by doing this exercise. I'll try to get as big as I can, so if you want to make a print screen, so you can start doing this as a very basic start to create the shape that I have in the background. Anyway, thank you very much for watching me, and have a good day. Bye bye.